Welcome back to the Tennessee Frugal Craftsman. This is the last of our studying for the garage, which is the last of our studying for the house. And I just wanted to do a short video, excuse me, on how I learned to grade this lumber. Kind of show you what we're looking for. Again, don't take mine as the standard nationwide or even worldwide. This is what we are trained here in Tennessee to meet the standard. So we're dealing with pine, which is already, yellow pine has a high strength to it. But one of the downfalls of pine, especially here where I am, is if you start getting into the area where the limbs are, you get big knots. Knots and wane are some of the biggest issues when you're dealing with grading lumber. So you want to look at all six sides, or all four sides, I guess you could say in this case. And you'll see on this side we actually have got just a little knot there. It's not too bad. Pretty much clear. It's got a little bit of wane, as you can see here, but you only need 1 inch roughly of good wood, which I have here, a good 1 1/8, 1 1/16. So this one on these two sides look good. Now let's look down the other way. Pretty clear all the way down, both sides, right until you get here to the very end. And here you've got these two knots. Technically what you're looking for on a 2x6, you're looking for a grand total or an average of 1.5 inches square. That's 1/4 of your width overall, so 1.5 inches, 1.5 times 4 is your 6. This is nominal, of course. And so in this case I've got about, look at this here, 3/4 by, roughly 4 inches. So that would be about 1.5 inches. So that right there, overall, 4 by 3/4 would pass. And it's not cumulative. So as long as you don't get a high concentration of knots in one area within 6 inches, you should be pretty good. So this first one, I would pass that. You can look down it. Doesn't look too bad. Next one. Now this one has some problems. On this side, it's clear, all good. But you get down to here and you've got a pocket here. Now, first look at this, you would say, well, it doesn't pass. But this does not, this split doesn't go all the way through it on this side, and this is actually a pitch pocket. It's not a knot. This knot passes, so not the best, but doesn't fail. And as you can see on this side, we've got, it's good. So that one there, one could argue could pass. Now, like if you want to get really technical with this, someone may identify this as a full knot and fail it, but I would look at that and say, well, when in doubt, they always say throw it out, but in this case I may take it and put it, maybe make it a jack stud or something, that, or a corner where you're doubling it up to give it a little more strength. All right, next one. Now this particular stud here, you got a big knot here. That knot there would pass. This one would pass. This one is borderline. And so just looking on this side, I mean, it's not the best, but it's not something that would cause it to fail. This here, and again, you got to make a distinction between what is the actual knot and what is the burl and the pitch area. So this area here, it's well within the 1.5 inches square overall area. So I would probably pass that one. Like I said, some of this is common sense. When in doubt, don't use it. Use it for something else. All right, now here's a case where you have a pitch pocket that extends from the knot. The knot here is right on this end. It's right on the borderline as far as on size, but it's right on the end of it. I've actually allowed 2 inches extra on these studs, so when I cut this one off, this one will be fine. This one is borderline as far as size, but fairly close, so I'm not going to say too much. However, when you get on this side, what do you have? You actually have a knot here. Grab my measuring tape, one moment. You have a knot here that is approximately 2 inches by almost, you could argue 3.5. So because of that, that would not pass as a stud. Number 2 or better according to the grade scale. Again, the number 2 here in Tennessee, according to this grade scale, is not necessarily the same as a number 2 elsewhere. Now, you could say, well, my goodness, that's a clear stud all the way up, except for that last little bit. That's true, and I would not dispose of this. I would actually use it, cut it off as a jack stud, and then use whatever I could out of it, cut around the knot. But that's the beauty of being able to grade your own stuff, because the graders normally grade based upon what they see. I am going to grade it upon what I see, but also how I'm going to use it. And so in a situation like this stud here, I know that I would probably use that right in on a jack stud. That would be cut off. That would be perfectly fine. Good strong stud. All right, let's go to the next one. This one automatically, you can see you have some problems. You have a large knot here, and it extends over onto this side. This may pass, but that's, you're starting to get border there. That's about 1 inch by 3. That's 4, so that'd be 2 inches area, which is over the 1.5 inches. You also have, some issues here. The knot. This knot here has a lot of, pitch pocket around it. That one would pass because it doesn't go all the way through. So I'm use a little bit of common sense. You've got a lot of good wood there. So on this one, I may set that aside and not put it as a number 1, like a stud that I would use in the main part of the building, but I may use it for cripples and jack posts wherever I can cut around. Next one here, this has got a couple issues. It's got a big knot here. The wane on this actually extends clear out to the edge, so there's not a full width of inch material here. Plus you have this issue going on. You have another big knot there, so there's no question that this one I would not pass it. I would use it to cut up into blocks wherever I could use it for pieces. So I'm not going to put that as a number 2 or better. Got some shorter stuff here. These are just short pieces that came off the top of a tree. This side's pretty good. This side's got some wane on it, but we've got 1 inch at least. This is borderline, but overall, no problem. Use that as some type of a cripple or part of the structure, but obviously it's not full length. And that's one of the other issues when you're dealing with, partial pieces that you're picking up or milling out. The lumber graders want to see, your stud length material as opposed to a lot of short stuff. I think they go down to about 6 feet. That's what they like to grade. This one here clearly is over the 1.5 inches. So something like this you could cut, about 2 feet here from there to the knot. You've got another 2 to 3 feet on the other end. Or you could use it in the place where it's non-structural. So again, I grade a lot of this. I'm grading as I go, which is one of the beauties of having some understanding of what you're looking for. This one on this side passes grade. As you can see, it's all good. Just a few smaller knots. This side's good. However, you get to here and you've got a fairly good size knot there. It's, again, this is pitch pocket, so you know, and the same with this. This is pitch. This would pass. I would probably use that overall because you've got, you know, it's not too bad. I would probably use it as a cripple, maybe up against a jack stud and a regular king stud, where you've got like 3 studs coming together, so you've got a lot of extra support. So there's always ways of using this material that doesn't necessarily meet the grade. Here's the last of the short pieces. These are about 4 feet long, 4 or 5 feet long. Again, this, I would pass that knot. It's fairly solid, doesn't go all the way through. Got a little bit of wane, but it meets the requirements here. Got some pitch pockets here, small knot here, pitch pockets up there. But yeah, I would use that as a cripple stud underneath of a window. Works fine. All right, now we come to a 2x4. Don't want to make the video too long, but 2x4, immediately this would fail on the count of this knot, that knot there, this right here, and that knot there. On a 2x4, you're allowed to gain 1/4, so 1 inch square roughly for knots. And so this would have to be used for blocking, cut it up in a non-structural place. That's the same for this particular 2x4 as well. You got a big knot there, another big knot down at that end. You got a fairly good sized knot here right on the edge as well, extends over onto the face. So again, wouldn't use it in a structural sense, but I would use it for blocking. Now this is basically a premium #1 clear pine. It's got a little bit of wane up at the far end, just a 1/4 of an inch, a little bit off. But that is a clear, pretty much a clear piece with the exception of maybe a little spot there. So that would be no problem. Use that no problem in a building structural sense. Rafter, I would use that. That's one of the rafters on my porch. Let's come to the next one. Borderline, but I would pass that. Come up to this end. Got some pitch pockets there, that's fine. A little bit of a knot there, but not enough to stop me from using it. However, you get over onto this edge and you see that this is about 2 1/4 by 1.25 inches, so that's already over. Plus you've got, even though this is a pitch pocket, you've got a split out of it here. I would, based upon the looks of this piece, even though these are all pitch pockets, based upon this and the fact that it goes all the way through, I would not use that in a structural sense, but I would cut around it and use the pieces under windows, over doors, over windows, wherever. Again, you're not throwing stuff away, you're just finding alternate uses for it. It's the same with this. This has got huge knots in it, so I would cut around it, but I wouldn't use it as a #2 or better stud. Come to the next one here. Now, there's a couple other things obviously you're looking for. You're looking for, you know, the bows and crooks and warps and twists. But at this point, this lumber is, I've straightened everything. Excuse me, so I don't have to look for that, because this is pretty much straight lumber. As you can just look down here, you can see the edges are nice and straight with one another. But so really what I'm looking for is the knot issue. This one here, sorry about that. I was hitting the, didn't realize I was hitting the zoom in. There we go. This one here, on this side, it all looks good. The knots all pass. Let's turn it over onto its edge. This one, now you're starting to get to a close, I mean, it's borderline, but 2 by inch, roughly. On average, that would pass. That'd be right on the border. The rest is pretty much small, under 1.5 inches as far as its size of knots, so I would pass that Past that. Next one. This side is nice and looking down at here, nice and clear. Just a few small knots in it. Turn it over. Look down it. The edge is good. Other side. All clear. Just a couple small knots. The edge is good. Up and down it. That's a good stud. This one here. This would be the issue right here. This knot, which extends over to here, even though, you know, it's a solid knot, I would probably try to cut around that as much as possible, because you've also got a knot here that's right on the border as far as size. You know, again, you're not looking necessarily just at the burl, you're looking at the knot itself. And so that one I would probably try to use in a different location other than just a straight stud. I'd try to cut around it. That would be the same that I would do for this one here, because you've got a large knot. Even though the rest of this stud is good, you know, pretty clear edges all the way up. Even on this side, you got a little bit of pitch pocket there, but that's fine. But on that far end, there's some issue here with this knot. But again, you only take one measurement, so, you know, or two measurements. You don't measure both sides at the same time. So it would pass this way and it would pass this way. So I would probably allow that one to be used based upon those sides. And this side is clear all the way, pretty much, with the exception of a couple small knots. So I would accept that one. This one here, let's see what we have. Well, immediately you can see when you flop it over, fail because of their size. So this one here, again, I would use it for blocking cripples, jack studs that not necessarily where you can cut, basically where you can cut around it. Just a few more here. Look down this one. This one is good on the edge, so we've got two edges that are good. Third edge and face good. I mean, you've got some knots in here, but they're all smaller, and that's the same with that edge. So this one here is a stud that I would pass. So kind of keep in mind, you're looking at, as far as in this particular grading scale, it's whatever the square area of it is, it cannot exceed 1/4 of the nominal width of your lumber. So inch for 1x4, inch and a half for, or sorry, 2x4, inch and a half for 2x6, 2 inches for 2x8, 2.5 for 2x10, 3 inches for 2x12. That's kind of the size of knot. Looking down this particular stud, we got a nice clear stud on two sides. This side has just got a few small knots in it. This side is clear with the, I guess, yeah, this side is clear. So that one, basically a good stud, nothing wrong with that. That is the same with this on this particular stud. It's got a little bit of wane, but we've easily got more than 1.5 inches here left. We got about 1.25 inches, so that's good. The edge is all clear. This side is all clear. Fourth side is clear. So yeah, I've got a good stud there. I'll come back and give you totals here in a minute. This stud does have an issue borderline with that knot. I would probably let it go. That knot up there, same type of thing. It's right on the border as far as size wise. They don't extend all the way through, so this side is fairly clear with the exception of that one little knot there with some pitch pocket around it. So probably pass that one. Just be cautious of where I use it. Okay, just give me a minute. Okay, down to our last three. Looking down this stud here, got a few small knots, so there's nothing wrong with that side. This edge is clear. This side here is actually clear as well. And that side is clear, with the exception of just a little knot up there. So easily passes. This side here on this stud is clear. The face, all of those knots are within tolerances. This edge is clear as well. And that one there is all within tolerances. So that one passes. Last stud. Borderline on that knot. Come up here and show you this. This knot easily passes. This knot passes as well. That passes, no problem. A little bit of wane on this, but we've got easily 1.25 inches. So I would pass that stud as well. So I'll come back in a minute and I will give you a total on what I passed and what I didn't pass as far as on numbers. Okay, so I've looked these over and put them in stacks. This was the last, like I said, the last of my pile of 10-foot stuff. Out of the 3 2x4s, I passed one of them and 2 didn't. Now again, depends on your overall stack. I'm running about 20% of what I classify rejection, which doesn't mean you get rid of them. It just means they have to be used in alternative places where you can cut around and get around the knots. Then over here I have approximately, let's say 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13 studs that passed, and I had 7 that didn't. 2, 4, 6, 7. 7 that I would have to use for jack posts, cut around the knots or whatnot. And so again, you're looking at about that's close to a 30% rejection rate, but the rejection rate does not necessarily mean that you can't use them. Now, if you just had someone grading them, they would be rejected, they wouldn't be stamped normally. But the beauty of grading your own lumber is that you're grading it where it's going to be finally used, and that stuff will be cut out, and so you can use as much of that lumber as possible. So it's a hot day here in Eastern Tennessee. I appreciate you joining me. I just wanted to give you a quick tutorial based upon knots, mostly in 2x6 and in 2x4. I'm going to get this stuff dipped and stacked, stickered and stacked, before I move on to my last stack of dimensional lumber, which is my 2x6x16. Anyway, when you're looking at lumber grading and whatnot, I mean, there's an art to it. You get better at it. Now, like I said, I'm not a professional, that's for sure. I just got my certificate, but I can understand why they learn, why you see these guys on videos and stuff at mills being able to do it so quickly, flip it around and grade it so quickly, because you just get, you know, kind of get second nature and recognizing what's the limits and what's not the limits. And so hopefully that will help you as far as, you know, and how you're grading. It also gives you a little bit of understanding of how much lumber you need to actually mill. You know, you don't mill just the exact amount that you need. You want to have a little bit of tolerances. Like on my 10-foot stuff, I milled, I think, almost 25% more. I think I need about 70, between 70 and 80 studs is what I needed. And so I milled close to 100 or more. And I easily had enough really good studs to make the grade. So anyway, hopefully that'll help you. As always, I appreciate you joining me. If you would, please like and subscribe. Until next time, you have a great day.